Good afternoon, Commission, its members, and the people that are here, and particularly those who are here for Sharp Leadenhall. I do apologize for being late and causing a little confusion, but I also appreciate the fact that the Commission has moved forward to the next step of the process in having Sharp Leadenhall designated as a historic designated area. I just want an opportunity to speak because this has been a long journey for us. We have some predecessors who are not here with us, but are definitely here with us in spirit. Mildred Moon. I can think of many others who worked very hard to keep what was left of this community as a vibrant place to be. And even though we have experienced developmental pressures and we have shrunk to a very small community, we're very interested and very much wanting to say what is left so that we can continue to tell the stories of the people who gave their lives and had life experiences in this very small community called Sharp Leadenhall. It was at one point, like the rest of South Baltimore, not the most attractive places to be. You know, we had the waterfront, there were bars and all sorts of things that were going on. But there was a lot of history that was still going on. Baltimore was known for having slaves, and slaves did live in South Baltimore with their owners. But Baltimore, and particularly that section of South Baltimore, was also known for the Abolition Society getting started there. And having persons like Frederick Douglass leaving his own church in East Baltimore, his home where his business was, to come to the area, which is now called Sharp Leadenhall, to worship and support the abolition movement. A very, I'm sure, not a difficult decision for the type of man that he was, but anyone who stepped out of their comfort zone during that era, I would call them brave. And he was very brave to come to Sharp Leadenhall and be part of a society that was trying to change the directions that the city was going into. It's very important, I think, not just for myself, but we have some seniors who lived through the Mildred Moon era at a time when the community, after the result of a decision, and believe me, we are in support of development. We'd like to see continued smart development occur so that we can take the best of what is historical and preserve it, but also look at the opportunities for development, revitalization. We have played a part as a developer ourselves, but as I was about to say, and hopefully some of the seniors will feel comfortable in coming forward, during the time of Mildred Moon's era when the direction was to build a highway. It was a very difficult time for many residents and communities. The thought that their homes would be taken for eminent domain to make way for a highway. And I can understand the city's position at that time because transportation was a high agenda item. You know, the city was growing, or maybe the city wasn't growing during that time, and they were trying to make sure, since the federal government was making monies available, to make sure they can get their part and make the improvements to the highway. Well, wouldn't you know it, it was the citizens of Baltimore City that formed an organization who was able to get the attention of Bob and Schaefer and say, you know, we don't want our community destroyed by this pathway. Instead, you know, they took a position of forming a coalition to stop the highway. Citizens against city, and during that time, that was something was never heard of. But they had lived their lives, they had their babies there. Many men who had served in World War II had used their GI loans to buy their first home. And the whole notion of having to leave and going someplace else, and if you know what your home is to you, can you imagine what those homes must have meant for them? The first kiss, maybe babies being born right there in the house. Leaving your work, leaving your home to walk maybe a block or two to go to work, because it was a very industrial area during that time. And so, even with the pressure of knowing that this is the direction the city wanted, and I can understand the city taking that direction with the kind of money that the state highway was making available, but it was again the citizens. They got together and they formed an organization to try to fight this direction, and they won. They won. And so many homes were saved. What we have left in Sharp Leadenhall is a result of the outcome of development pressures. So what we're trying to do, even though I think we're about no more than about 8 blocks in total, is to save that slice of that community so that we continue to tell the stories, the rich stories and the prominent stories that and significance this community has made. We were the home of the Arabs. red to the right, watermelon. You remember? Of course we did. And so we can give some verbal stories, and we got some pictures, and we have artifacts. And we have, for the past year, been having monthly historic lectures to rekindle the rich history of not just Sharp Leadenhall, but all of South Baltimore. Because it wasn't a Federal Hill, and it wasn't an Audubon, and it wasn't even a Sharp Leadenhall. It was just South Baltimore. And so, along with the seniors and the new people, I'm a fairly new resident in the area, but I fell in love with the history. And that's something that Baltimore is known for, its history. So I know this commission is about preservation and making tough decisions. I'm hoping you will agree, even though not very much is left. And it wasn't our decision, the mass destruction that occurred, but to try to save what we do have, is what's left, and to partner again with the city as we continue with redevelopment, to continue to tell the stories, those rich stories. So as your grandchildren grow up and hear where you used to work and places you visit, we'll be able to still tell those stories and have some visual of what this community once was and the significant part that it played in both Baltimore history and as well as U.S. history. Sharp Leadenhall is still here. And it's not the result of the city's planning directly. It was because of the people who made the commitment that they were going to stay. It was still their homes. And regardless of what was around it, they were going to make the best out of it. And if you come to and visit us now, you can see that we're involved in the Green Initiative. We've done a lot of our own cleaning up, and we have become the host community of 2 beautiful sports arenas. And we're going to be the site of the new slot development, if that's still going to go forward. And we're going to show both that development as we have with the past development. We can coerce in the same area together with some smart development. We're looking for easement, so we're not totally taken over by all the projected traffic. And I'm sure in that planning, they're not planning to do that to us anyway. So again, I just thank this commission and those who are not here for us, but as you're preparing for yours, I can't convey the passion enough as to what this community is to Baltimore City. And I'm so glad that Mr. Umry is here today, because he could probably tell more if he was able to testify, because he was there during that era, and he had the pleasure of knowing Miss Mildred Moore. And I must admit, her style is something that I wish I had. I'm trying to do the best that I can to walk in the steps that she made through her footprints, being fair, being honest, and staying prayed up that it's going to be okay.